Good morning, ladies. Welcome to In Search of Prosperity Sisterhood. I'm so glad you're here this morning. This morning, we are just coming out of a couple of workshops that really kicked off the new year. I've had amazing reviews. We had great questions within our group and some fantastic discussion afterwards. So today I wanted to springboard off of that. And I really brain dumped. I flowed a lot after this last workshop. And I've got a couple kind of next steps, like the next pieces to that puzzle that I want to share with you. And the first one, you'll hear me say this time and time again, people. People and connections are so important. And the question I want to bring to you as you're coming out of setting goals and looking at your visions and creating that calendar that speaks to and answers that focus that you want to drive into, the question I want you to ask is, who is going to help me get there? Who is going to help me get to where I want, what I want, where I want, when I want, all those things? Who? So you always hear about you are the 5 people you hang out with, right? But what does that mean? How do I get those 5 people? Who are those 5 people, right? That's what we're here to talk about today. So I like to keep 2 lists of 5 people. The first list that you brain dump is going to be a lot more than 5 people. And then you focus it down to those 5 for that season, that particular goal, that focus, that intention, whatever it is. Okay. So I have 2 lists of 5 people, and that is personal and professional. And out of these people, I want things, right? We're here to talk shop, right? We have these people on our list because we want something from them. And I want you to know that that's not selfish, and that that's something that you can serve them while they serve you. So these are things that you're gleaning from them are skills, mentorship, training, focusing on your goals, reaching a goal, creating that vision and living that vision that you created. On this list I have is mindset and lifestyle. Like, who are they and what are they doing, right? Like, I want that. So sometimes these people they don't know who you are. They don't even know your name. They might be an author. They might be someone you follow online, but they have something you want. Do they make the list? Are they that important that they make that top 5? Because you can't do this alone. So as you brain dump, focus on what you want. And now as I think about like society and hashtags and trends and all these things, right? As we look at this list and say, but what can I give them? Right? Like, if I'm learning a certain skill, for instance, I'll share my friend Pat. She knows how to make wine. She makes wine on her countertop, and it's so fantastic. It's amazing. And it's a skill I want to learn, not in 2024, because I have other things on my list that are a priority. But last summer, about 6 months ago, she had a batch of wine brewing, and she said, come on over, I'll show you. So of course I'm going to take that invitation, right? But I can't teach her how to make wine. Duh. Like, I'm the one learning the skill. But you have things to give. Relationships are not apples to apples. You have oranges and bananas. They have the apples that you want, the things that you want to learn, right? And yet relationships aren't apples to apples. But when you sit down and you offer them good questions, good, full, curious, all-encompassing questions that dig deeper into what you're interested about that process, or about the parts and pieces that you don't understand. Like maybe you understand 80% of a process, but you're stuck on the other things. Ask the deeper questions, ask the big questions, ask the good questions. They might be simple, but they might be big. When you ask those things, it's forcing them to dig deeper, going back to that learning phase of when they were learning. It's not just how it is, right? Ask those questions, and then that curates creativity within them. It says, oh, I never thought of it that way. Or you mean you've had this type of thing, or you've had that situation happen before, that's crazy. Or like, you're curating creativity within them when you're asking those good questions. And that's a form of you giving back, of you providing value to that conversation, to that relationship, that makes it feel like they're not just pouring out of their cup and you have nothing to give back to pour it, right? So when I think about apples to apples, I also think about cups. So like you have one cup where you're giving, whereas like I'm pouring into a different cup. So it's not always pouring into each other's cups, if that makes sense. Like if that analogy helps you, okay? Appreciation is a relationship currency. It's just thanking them for their time or their resources, and giving in that way, right? Thanking them. Because when they feel appreciated, what you appreciate appreciates. They're willing to give more. They're willing to show up more, whatever those things are. As you go into writing this list, I want you to remember that someone is watching you. Okay? So when you ask, when you raise your hand, when you invite, when you share, you are giving away your secrets too. Hey, I learned this thing from my mentor, or I learned this new skill here. Who wants some leftovers, right? Like whatever those things are. So you have your list of people. Then you have what you want from them right next to them. And then how are you going to get that? Is it going to be coffee dates? Is it going to be reading their book because they don't know who you are? You just follow them on social media, right? Is it going to be just raising your hand and asking? Ask. That's a big part. I think that's something we don't always do. Like we watch from a distance when really their door is open. All you have to do is ask. It's all I did with my friend Pat. And she said, hey, come over on Thursday. I'll show you how it goes. I was like, okay, right? Because again, like I'm not quite to that step in my skill set and what I want to learn next, but accept the invite, right? Because maybe your timing is different than their timing, different than God's timing and the universe's timing and all those things, right? So sometimes it's just saying yes. And when you start sharing those things, who you are and what you do, and creating that growth within yourself, when you start sharing those secrets, that's where other people are raising their hand to work with you or to see what your resources are, right? Like, where are you investing your time and your energy and your relationships? And really, you can't afford not to share. That's something that came up in our discussion earlier, like you can't afford not to share, because as you work through that, having a conversation when you're in the thick of it, as you're sharing, someone else might just have that solution waiting for you. You may not even be on your list of people, right? These 5 people. But as you share, other people are going to raise their hands. And as you receive this information from those 5 to 10 people, because I have that personal list and that professional list, I have the people that, whether they're learning new skill or have skills that I want, or they're parenting the way I want to parent, or what have you. And then I have my professional, they have what I want, whether it's the level of money, the clients, the lifestyle, whatever that is, there's the professional list too. So as I look at that list, first, you're not alone. It's that reminder that you're not alone. And as you get 5% of information from here and 1% over there and 20 over there, and oh, and then I got that 10% information over there and that 7 over there. And as you are creating who you are and what you do in that process and fill yourself up to that 126%, you're overflowing. So then you become the mentor. Then you become the person they're learning from. And it creates that cycle within our relationships, whereas sometimes the tables turn, right? So I've had plenty of times where I come into a conversation wanting to get something out of that person, right? Like, okay, I'm here to learn X, Y, and Z from so and so, right? So I'm in that learning mode. And yet I ask a question or I share a perspective on something, which is what we do within this sisterhood. And we ask those questions and share that perspective, right? And all of a sudden, the other person's like, wait, I need to learn that from you. That makes perfect sense. Or, right? Like, so the tables turn and say, the mentor becomes the mentee because we've created that openness within a conversation, within a relationship that says, hey, I have things to give too, but I'm open to that receiving. And then as you fill up to that 126% and you're overflowing, where does it go? You're sharing it with other people. You're inviting others to join you listening to something or attending something like a workshop, like we just went through. And you are becoming that leader, that mentor, because you have that thing to pour out of you, whatever it is. So all these people, all these interactions, all these skills turn into the things, excuse me, that become who you are. You don't become just one person, one idol, and clone that person, because you are different. You came from a different lineage. So the question I want to bring to you today, excuse me, is who is going to help you? And are there a situation, is there somewhere where you had an instance ah, where you had an instance where the tables turned? I want to hear about it. Let's talk.